The difficulty is there's always a little bit of I guess restraint because of like people who have. It's like the idea is that they can't really get around so much that everyone would start being like, okay, you guys obviously aren't doing the thing that you're saying you're doing, so we're gonna get rid of you.
Oh, it's definitely there. I think people just don't
Some
think they could
people.
get rid of them.
Some people think
Dude,
that.
I mean, Congress approval rating is like 12%. The number one issue, statistically,
12%.
yeah, the number one issue for the American people
Maybe
is
I'm just
corruption in government. That's the highest, like, across the base issue.
That's crazy,
Yeah.
even for their own state. Or
Well,
is
no,
this the
it's
kind of
federal.
idea?
It's federal. It's like,
This is the idea where it's like, oh, we're okay, but everywhere else isn't okay.
no, what do you mean?
Because obviously, like, if it's 12%, like, where's the 12? Where are you locating that 12?
What's the exact number, Dwight?
Looks like it was, well, hold on. Let me sort through it a little bit. Go ahead. Keep going.
Okay, anyway.
It's more just based on the idea of, like, okay, well, if everyone thinks
Well, it makes perfect sense when you look at that, that paper that was done that showed that 70% of Americans have no influence on policy. I mean, the people know that the government's not responding to them, that their interests aren't being, taken care of.
even at the state level and the local
This
level.
was about federal Congress.
Okay, but we also do elect those people in our state.
You mean like the senator that's going to go?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this was just about Congress overall.
I know, so that's what I mean is like the idea
Oh,
is...
so you're wondering, was their approval rating just as low for their own
Yeah,
representatives?
exactly.
No, it's actually very high.
Exactly. So
So-
they're basically like everywhere else has a problem, but we don't have a problem.
Well, yeah. And so I think a lot of it is, people. I think a lot of it is people who understand things aren't working, yet have been persuaded by the political maneuvering of their own representatives.
Totally.
So they don't understand the connection between their representative and the institution that doesn't work for them.
And I could totally see that being pretty easy if people just don't look at the Senate. Like they pay attention to all the stuff that they're voting for in their state,
Well,
but then
it's-
don't outside of it.
It's also how susceptible people are to tribalism.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
that tribalism has been utilized so effectively in our age.
Yeah.
It's so rabid, one side against the other.
Mhm.
And if they could reorientate themselves to understand that the whole American populace is in a consensus that the Congress doesn't work for us, and dealt with that as a systemic issue instead of if only my team was in power.
Right.
Well, whenever any team gets in power on either side, everyone still hates everything. So.
Right.
As of September 2018, it was 19%.
Oh,
Nice.
snap.
Just an F minus minus minus.
That's from statist.com.
We have a fifth of the country's okay.
76% disapprove. So,
Yeah,
few people that
There's
don't
some
know
in
about
between.
it.
And weird. What was that? 70% of people have no say over.
76% disapprove.
And then
And then there's that study saying that 70% of Americans have no say over policy. So almost the same number.
And do you know how they said that was like?
So the way they did it was they did like a broad statistical analysis of the positions held by the American people.
Okay.
And then they compared that to policy.
Okay.
And then they did the same thing but separated by wealth.
Okay.
And so the higher your wealth went, the closer the correlation to policy. And when you got to the upper echelons of wealth, it was almost exact.
Totally. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that one's super hard too because that is just I feel like the remnants of the like how government and capitalism will work together. Because the idea, the whole the premise would be like the person who is like getting the most money is also giving the most too. That's why they're getting the most, right?
If that happened. Yeah.
I mean, but that's like the idea, and so they obviously have the best idea of what should happen in the government, so they should have the most say, right?
Yeah, but that's just blatantly not democracy.
No,
it's not a
plutocracy.
republic.
It's plutocracy,
It's not a
right?
republic either. So any common American who isn't just like a wealth groveler would be completely opposed to that.
It's just odd how when you line it up like that, how do people really think that like capitalism would be okay with democracy?
I mean,
They have different ideals.
there's
in
been
mind.
more work put into that propaganda than any other in this country.
Yeah.
So people equate capitalism with freedom. They see authoritarianism as linked to anti-capitalism. You know, I mean, there's a lot of confusion to deal with, but it's getting better. I mean, the newest polls were showing that now a majority of millennials on the left-wing millennials, and again, we should note that majority of millennials are left-wing. So more than 50% of them would prefer socialism to capitalism now. Not that they understand what that means.
Yeah, no, I mean, right.
But the souring on the idea that capitalism is the answer is a positive development.
Totally. And at least maybe that might open their minds. I hope they go further than that.
Yeah, I mean, I was also one of those people at one point who just said, I don't think this is right. I think it's something else. And now here we are talking about democratic cooperatives and the ending of empire. So hopefully people keep digging.
Totally.
Hopefully.
Because again, I don't want to throw...
There's just so many distractions that
That's the game.
that's the problem. It's so easy to. I mean, we just got distracted last night with the UFC. It's just a dumb
Not
fight
that-
of two people. It's like
Not that all distractions are bad.
Yeah.
But it's like if you don't ever pay attention to other shit, then yeah.
there's just two egos fighting each other. There was no real like.
That's certainly true.
Critique of UFC.